about something that I had to deal with for the longest time. And I think that especially if you're in trans spaces, there's a lot of hatred, self-hatred for trans people, not just for themselves, but obviously for the entirety of like the trans community, especially
Man, is
those
this supposed to
that
be
do not have the genetic.
Hey, what are you doing? Why are you talking over Nyara, huh? You're talking over a trans woman. What's happening, Dr. Jones? I want to hear the argument. What?
I was gonna say, are we dealing with pro trans or just another pick me?
What? Nyara is a great content creator.
Okay, so we're for her. Okay then.
Yeah, of course. Nyara has been receiving crap from Asmongold. Call them out. She's talking about people, the trans people that discriminate against people that don't pass like me, basically.
Luxury of already looking like women before transitioning.
When I
There's
say
this one
trans
post.
people need to gatekeep their space, but that's not what I mean though. In that way,
Okay, let's watch.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to take out all the bad actors.
A trans person who passes was once a trans person who didn't pass, which is something a lot of you seem to forget.
Yeah, and not everybody will pass. It's like, I probably will never be super passing. I'm sorry. This is a shock, probably too many.
Was fake posted, I guess, during the time of a tweet going pretty viral in the trans community, which is this one. Trans woman looks maxing tier chart. That is insane. Gigahon, Hon, Clocky, Twink, Hon.
Oh, Barry!
Thank you for the holy crap, $75. Thanks for all you do, Lucy. Thank you, Polyphonics. Oh my god, $75. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thanks to you, I can pay rent. Lots of cis women don't pass, quote unquote. I wouldn't worry about it. I mean,
There's no old Barry though.
it's not like I can super change anything about it,
Asoid. Imagine drawing trans
Your
women
thing
like
broke, Lucy.
Sorry?
Your thing broke.
What broke?
There's no old Barry.
Wait, really? Wasn't there an old berry? No, there was an old berry.
Oh, I have. That's right. So I'm looking at the Discord stream. Oops.
Oh my god,
Sorry.
Dr. Jones.
It's like the Discord stream overlaid where your stream is, so I can see both chats. So I completely forgot that I had stream muted in the browser. It's too late for this.
Is this about the side of the yeah? It's I don't know. Like I've met trans people that were like, oh, this person's not passing and that person's not passing. I'm like, yeah, I don't pass. Like thinking, I don't know. It's very destructive to be hang up on passing.
this and being like, yep, I'm normal. It's so crazy to me because like the fear of never passing was literally the part that prevented me from actually starting to transition. When I was 18, I learned about like the trans community when I was like 19. I was like, what is the point of like getting into that? I'm already through my puberty. I already, I had my voice drop.
And I was like older, okay? Much older. So I was like, why even? It's too late for me.
I'm tall, I've broad shoulders, my hairline is masculine. I wasn't androgynous, I wasn't blessed with, a body that is feminine, perceived to be feminine. And the fear of like starting to transition and not looking good was really difficult for me to overcome this. And I can't imagine being
I feel the same about this actually.
in a space where so many trans people, I don't even know if like all of them are trans.
Can relate
it kind of
to
feels
that.
like a psyop at some point in order to deter people from transitioning. I will
As a
be real,
cis
but I
man,
think
I
that
feel
in a
like
lot of
And a lot of people, sorry?
As a cis, white man, I can relate to this too.
Yeah, and a lot of people that usually when I do a critique of Blair White or whoever, or whenever I talk with a transphobe, I've had like situation when I reply to someone on Twitter and they will just whip out a screenshot of me or something and be like, oh yeah, that's how you look like. That explains everything,
They're transvestigating you, Lucy.
No, they're like, oh yeah, you're just ugly as hell. So that explains why you have such opinions because you're disgusting.
these spaces, everybody's so miserable. Like, obviously, being trans is difficult, and you're valid of feeling dysphoric about it, and to be like, well, I don't have like $20,000 to put into like different cosmetic surgeries,
Yeah.
so you know, I can't have top surgery, I can't have FFS to make up for, you know, being born male, going through male puberty and so on, not having the right genetics. It makes it really gatekeepy. And I think there's a lot of resentment for trans women who just start transitioning, who are publicly trans, and who are actually doing things that feels right to them. I have images, right? Like I had really short hair and I'm, you know, looking like a guy going through all of these things. And I have images.
And maybe, you know, maybe there is a positive in me streaming with my face, even though I don't pass, you know? Didn't you think? Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, ask you a question.
I guess. I don't know why you have like the cis white boy on for this, or am I just supposed to be? I'm just the token here.
Thank you, Grayun Wannabe.
Just where I look back and it's like, yeah, that's just like the journey. If you look at like transition timelines that are always posted on like TikTok or Instagram and so on, it's like, oh, this was.
Sorry, what?
I said, don't leave me like this, Gray wannabe.
Calm down.
Or he's leaving.
Calm down, Dr. Jones. Calm down.
Before and now after, but like you don't really see like all of the in-between stages, and it makes it like there's no way you'll ever get there. There's an unfortunate amount of jealousy among the trans community, yeah, and I think there's also resentment for a lot of like, you know, femboys or those that are like gender fluid and so on, to be like, well, you're lucky that you at least look like a girl. You're getting mistaken for a girl. I wish I would get mistaken for a girl. Like, that's, you know, that's how I felt. And, you know, sometimes your jealousy, your envy, it turns into anger. And then you laugh.
I mean, as long as you're not being awful to people, you know? Like, you're gonna have those thoughts of, yeah, I wish I would look like this or that. But as long as you don't turn it into being awful towards others, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can just start a secret Discord group chat like Brianna Wu did, and then have the whole it rubs the lotion on his skin thing for that one. Who's the fucking lady for that from the Young Turk, the tanky bitch from the Young Turks?
You're trying to be serious about my feelings about the topic, and here I have Dr. Jones laughing about Brianna Wu's secret chat.
Well, it ties into the thing about being catty, not passing. You're complaining about not passing. I don't know. You're the one that let the cis white guy onto the talk about trans issues. You're supposed to educate me.
Out on people who just don't deserve it. You know, they're just living their life. And it's also like the culture of like how the media, like right-wing media, a lot of like these spaces portray trans people, how they talk about trans women, to be like, oh, these are like the men in dresses. They're doing like all of these evil things. They're going in there. They're all predators. They all look like men. They're all, you know, like they constantly post this. They even find...
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to bigots if one passes or not. That actually is outside of the argument completely. Like the bigots will always say that trans women, passing or not, are predators that just want to pretend and go to toilets and predate on cis women, even there is no data that actually demonstrates that happens in the slightest. It's that they don't care. They don't care.
Everybody knows there's like a magical force field that keeps, men from entering the woman's toilet.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. You have to declare yourself a woman and you have to become trans in order to be able to, of course. It's the only way.
I mean, I totally did not accidentally enter a woman's toilet as a kid. On complete accident and was scarred for life.
You can literally have a trans woman...
I made a left instead of a right on accident.
Who just looks like the average, cis woman, and they are still going to be like, oh, your eyes are 1 centimeter too far apart to actually make you be perceived as a woman, or like, it's crazy.
Yeah, this harms cis women as well. This hurts cis women a lot as well, this kind of thing, because cis women start being transvestigated as well.
Your nose bridge is like elevated in a sense that doesn't make sense for a female. It's lunacy, obviously. But if you have a lot of self-hatred, if you hate that you were born with this mismatch, it just makes it really easy to fall into like this pipeline, into like this space where you just look at this and you see these caricatures that they constantly post, and you like see yourself in them. And sometimes it's not even like the comments that you get, it's like the amount of comments that you get, that is always like the same thing that they like fixate on, everything to like invalidate you and so on. And
it's weird that it's coming from inside the house, so to speak, right?
That was actually what prevented me from even like doing like research, educating myself in like these spaces and so on, and like learning about transitioning, DIY, and so, like all of these things. It made it like so hard, because I was like, well, I'll never pass anyway. You know, I should just like live with the fact that I'll always be a man. When I was 22, I couldn't take it anymore. I started transitioning. I started HRT at 25. And it took me a couple of years. It's crazy how far I've come in my transitioning journey just by being on HRT and like, putting a little bit of effort into my appearance every now and then. Trying to eat healthier and like
I have to eat
work
healthier
out a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
I was on the wrong dosage for a really long time, and I gained a lot of weight during that. I started losing it, and it kind of helped. It kind of helped with like shape, body fat redistribution, really big thing. Like, it doesn't redistribute weight that you already have, like fat that you already have. So you kind of have to lose it and also like gain something, and it's like a balance. If you don't have like a lot of body fat, you're like, if you start HRT, you kind of need that. You shouldn't be afraid of gaining weight. But yeah, like
so I should binge food. Well, too bad I am poor. Isn't that right, doctor?
Exactly.
It helps to essentially go through this journey again through puberty. But
should have been born with the
like
right genetic makeup to have all the fat just go straight to your tits.
Should have been born with the right wallet makeup.
Exactly. How the saying goes. I wasn't born rich, so I can't afford to be happy. And you'll never fucking believe.
Actually, today I feel very rich. I've made $80 on this stream, so it's very nice.
Trans women who fall into this. I know there are trans content creators actually who are pushing the thing of like, oh, if you want to be a woman, you have to be better than the average cis woman in order to like make up for the fact that you're born male and you need to like fulfill all of like the expectations of women, and like that's crazy. People will all
screw this. I'm gonna be the content creator. I'm gonna be the trans content creator to tell you that you can look like me and be okay. Okay? I'm gonna be the positive influence. I'm gonna be the person that shows that passing isn't everything. Okay?
As long as you love yourself, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Always find a way
paused there
to invalidate you. People will always insist that you're a man, right? Like the newest trans woman who is now the first leader of the LGBTQI plus Office of Affairs. If you start transitioning early, you have like, puberty blockers, and maybe you have like surgeries and so on. You have the right.
As that person that went through the puberty and is non-passing, I think all I can do is just to advocate for people to be able to get access to these things.
Environment and genetics.
I think so.
Everything comes together, then you're allowed to transition, and it makes it really gatekeepy. And it's just not true. Like, there are trans people who transition in their 30s and their 40s, and they look gorgeous.
I started transitioning at 39.
It's not hopeless, but like, if I would just be in these spaces.
Sorry?
Said better late than never.
How they talk about themselves, how they talk about other trans people. It's so sad. In their 60s, right? Yeah. So there are trans women out there who draw other trans women like this, and we have to treat them like precious little children, or else we'll be accused of not letting them be sad about their dysphoria. There are like so many trans people who do not want to be elevated. They just want to be told that, yeah, you suck, like, you should just give it up. It's kind of like when you go on Reddit and somebody is complaining that,
oh look, that's me. Mine is the shadow. I don't have the shadow.
You're at least, I think, one or two more over on the chart.
Like,
I don't have the shadow.
champion league or like a character or something is
I
like
mean,
overpowered.
it just comes
and
back
then,
to where it's just that I
you
got
know, you
my
can-
own, and then they kick the ladder off from behind them.
Yeah.
tell them how to
Kind of
combat
mentality.
that. They're like,
Yeah, I
no,
think so.
I'm offended by the fact that you're offering me advice. Just start telling me that this character is actually OP and like affirm the fact that everything is like hopeless and the devs need to fix this. Hurt people, exactly. And this is how it feels like in this space. And it makes me so sad. It makes me
Yeah,
so sad.
this is supposed to be the space that is supposed to, I don't know, accept and embrace you, not treat you like shit. I'm gonna be right back. I need a Coca-Cola for this. Isn't that right, Dr. Jones? I need a drink.
Oh, great. Leave me out to try again. So, how about this weather? Are we all having fun yet? Tell me about. We got like 4 fucking inches of snow in the Midwest here in the middle of fucking March. I hate it.
Why are you being like this, Dr. Jones? Dr. Jones, why are you acting like some pervert? Okay,
What?
let's continue. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because I've been there. There's subreddits like the, what is it, r/MTF that also feels to some
But
extent.
yes, whenever people criticize me, they always go to my appearance. Yeah, whenever they rebuke my argument, they always go to my appearance, without fail. When I criticize transphobia in my videos, always people in the comments inevitably go to my appearance. Like when I criticize Blair White, like the standard reply from her fans was, "You're jealous because you're ugly and stupid, and she's beautiful and brilliant." You know?
It's an ad hominem attack. Blair White's got like probably more plastic in her face than the ocean.
Yeah, but I'm not. I don't know. I avoid going after people's appearance.
Dude, that's why I wear a mask, because I'm so fucking ugly.
Sure. I don't trust you.
Like a
To be a hot potato.
psyop a lot of times. It's so miserable and obviously, right? Like
That's the term that I coin, hot potato. You know? It means a handsome man.
society is fetishizing our existence and we have to meet like the expectations of people who want to like sexualize us. They don't want us to
Yeah.
have access to healthcare that makes it so we can pass. They want us to be some form of clocky or whatnot because I guess like,
Yeah,
that's
because people want to drive us out from the public space and want us to be in the closet.
for chasers. That's what they like. You know, they come for our healthcare, they come for our environment, they bully us, they shove us into conversion camps.
Yeah, I'd say
You know,
you're
they wanna
between
do, like-
Clocky and Twink. Was it Twink Run? Twinkathon?
Sorry, what?
I say on the chart, you know, you're somewhere between, I'd say, Clocky and Twinkon.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Medical experimentations, they want to drug like they want to zombify trans people instead of actually alleviating gender dysphoria, something that is provably working and antidepressants don't. It's still then like expecting us to meet their expectations of, you know, what they expect of cis women, which is like, okay, you go through male puberty, you have like all of these things and now you need to like put in effort, and if you can't meet these expectations, you should just like, you know, hide away. That is like the idea.
That is literally, that is how they think.
And like these things, it's like so depressing. I was like, the fear of transitioning and never looking like a woman deterred me from transitioning sooner. Even when I started, I could only see a man in the mirror. It made me depressed and anxious. Nowadays, I still struggle, but more often than not, I get gendered correctly IL. I got gendered correctly the first time in 2024 after bottom surgery.
I sometimes get gendered correct. Sometimes, most of the time, I get it actually depends what I wear at a given time. Sometimes I get gendered correctly pretty more often nowadays. And sometimes just as a man. And sometimes I get gendered with confusion. Sometimes people just get confused.
Even like fully, you know, like dressing up, I just had like a more feminine code, and that stuck with me because that showed me that all of like the
It's probably the glasses.
Sorry?
It's probably the glasses.
Why? What about my glasses? What about them?
None.
What do you mean? Why? What about them? Why?
Oh, I forgot.
emotional fear
What?
that I had, everything that like
What?
deterred me from like starting and pursuing
Yeah.
this, not just be like an
I don't actually have any traditional Polish display in Commonwealth dresses in real life.
survival
Yeah,
mode,
so that's
be
why
numb,
everybody should donate so you can get some.
Yeah.
be angry, be miserable. It turned out that all of this irrational fear was actually just irrational. You do not need to meet like model type of expectation, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, trans
Because
people
most
have
cis
a
women
really
don't.
interesting relationship when it comes to, you know, beauty and beauty expectations and so on, because we are being held to a way higher level, and you have like this imposter syndrome, and you will always find flaws, but it's not necessary to go on the street and be gendered correctly. If you take care of your skin, if you take care of your hair, learn like a basic makeup. You know, I don't even do like a lot. I have like some mascara, I have like a little bit of foundation, like evening out my tone, my skin tone, and like my face, eyebrows. You know, they're like little things that you can do in order to help cis people, like strangers, put you in like the right box.
True.
Right? Obviously, you putting on makeup and so on doesn't mean that, you know, this is what you have to do in order to be a woman, but it helps to be perceived as a woman in a society where makeup is something considered essential, right? There are cis women who, you know, don't wear makeup and then they're going to get misgendered. If you're a cis woman and you have short hair, you're going to get misgendered. If you're a cis woman and you're tall, you have broad shoulders and so on, if you have a deeper voice, you will get misgendered.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when it comes to like trans people, then it's like this thing of like, well, don't bother. And transitioning, obviously, you know, like having bottom surgery, having like being on HRT for such a long time, it helped me a lot. It took me a while.
Yeah, and I am on pause when it comes. I have to go back to HRT, right, Dr. Jones? Hello?
Hello?
I have to go back to an HRT, right, Dr. Jones?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think like the mental aspect is something that is incredibly difficult to overcome. But like if you're in spaces like this, you will never be happy. Looking at other trans people and
Yeah, it's
Her
very...
first mistake was going to Reddit.
Sorry?
Is it her first mistake was going to Reddit?
No, it's not about Reddit. It's that's not exactly what she's talking about. I know you're joking, but it's not some specified. No, it's a problem with trans spaces in general. There are specific trans spaces when people like, there are even some super gatekeepy trans spaces where people are like, oh, if you're not passing, then you're not welcome to hang out with us, you know? It can get pretty nasty, and that's very depressing that's a thing for trans spaces.
feeling like jealousy and
I mean, it's fine to give people advice on passing, but it's different to say you look like shit, you don't pass, you look like a guy, and are you even really trans? So there are trans people that also go that route. You don't pass, and that means that you're not really trans because you're basically just a guy that says you're a woman. You go full transphobia mode.
Not to mention don't bring up being non-binary to some of them too.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's also a whole bigotry against non-binary people. Yeah, that's right. Just despise that wholeheartedly.
giving up.
We feed all the non-binary people to the leopards and they won't eat our faces.
Yeah, that's basically the logic.
On yourself, giving up on like everything, like your pursuit for happiness. Like you're being so cruel to yourself, and then you're also making it everyone else's problem. Like this is insane. There's like this one like trans creator who actually reacted to a video of mine, and like a thing that like stands out is just like, what type of audience are you trying to appeal to by just like sitting there and like regurgitating conservative talking points as a trans woman and being like, these are the reasons why you're actually a man and you're male brained, and actually
Oh my God.
you need to like act and like sound differently, your voice is too masculine.
Yeah, exactly. That happens in the community, actually. Yeah.
What type of audience are you catering to? Like that's insane to me. Like the speech policing and telling trans women how to act, how to behave, and we're just expected to take this because if you fight back, if you push back against it, then it's like you're just doing this because you know you are socialized as a boy, and that just shows everyone that you will always be a
Yeah.
man. Sometimes it just takes time, but it also requires you to do a lot of mental work and get in a better environment. These type of spaces, it's like the red pill space.
Sorry, what's that noise?
What?
What was that noise?
I don't.
It came from you. Someone was talking.
I might just be picking up on you on accident.
Oh.
Space, like the incel spaces of like, yeah, women suck. Women are the problem. Women are the reason why I can't get laid. I will never continue my bloodline because women. Like, everybody's just miserable. There's so many VTubers who make it their entire identity to, like, shit-talk me. And they attract the community of people who just hate me. They hate themselves, they hate me. But, like, you will never actually build, like, a supportive environment if this is the way how you garner these people, right? Doomers? Yeah, exactly. Transitioning is worth it.
It's funny because, yeah, and if you're binary but gender non-conforming, like, if you enjoy hobbies or have certain personality traits, you are a LARPer, quote unquote. Yeah, it's stupid.
You do not have to look like a model. You don't have to have transitioned when you were 14. There's also like this talking point of like, well, I wasn't allowed to transition when I was younger. So actually the next generation, future generation of trans people needs to suffer like me because
That is so messed up. But that goes this actually goes beyond the trans community. This is something that I've observed as when I taught at a language school. Some of my students, there was a student that I had that was bullied by classmates, and he had lessons with me 101, and he came to class crying, and I alerted the principal of the school that I taught at, and basically the kid's father just said, oh yeah, I went through bullying and I'm fine. So why should I do something about my son being bullied when, you know, I got bullied and I'm alive and I'm fine? It's ridiculous. Like, why saying that if you suffer, then your child should just suffer the same and deal with it? It's ridiculous. I hate this mentality of I went through crap and therefore other people have to go through crap as well. Especially, I hate it in regard of everything, really. When people, that is also the transmedicalism gatekeeping thing. When, oh, if you don't go through the same loops as I, then I don't accept you. Yeah, people are called fake. It's ridiculous.
how dare they be happy
when
I couldn't? And that needs to stop. That needs to change.
Yeah.
I made a video a while ago talking about like you should.
I remember ever since I was small of thinking whenever something bad happened that I actually don't want people to go through the same. And if I don't pass, if I didn't have the thing as when I was young, I feel like the best thing is to advocate for others to have that thing. Does that make sense?
I mean, God forbid you want to, make the world slightly better.
Yeah.
But, make a little bit of progress so, the next people don't have to suffer past you.
Yeah, so that they have a nicer situation, because you know how that feels and it sucks, So why would you want others to feel the same way?
Feel ashamed, embarrassed of the fact that you're trans. And there's just so much hurt in this community. It's just painful to always see this, right? To see the constant hate, the things that like TERFs throw at you and the things that they boost, the constant lies. And then there's another article of a trans woman who actually looks like a man. And then you see yourself in them because, you look in the mirror and you just see like some creature. But that's not true. There's so many brain worms and so on. Like, obviously your gender dysphoria is valid, but it's like body dysmorphia, right? Where you look in the mirror and you see things that other people don't see. In the street when you're walking around, people are not going to hyper analyze the way that you walk. Oh, are your hip bones in this angle? That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Don't give up on transitioning. And if you're in a space where trans people talk this way about other trans people, and
then leave that space.
Look for a better community.
Yeah.
Please, I beg you.
Good video. I gave it a like. You should give it a like as well. Incup says, like the people in the 1800s clearly cared, but now it seems that people don't care anymore. It's just about themselves. You're gonna watch one more Nyara. Transphobic women hate being women.
I actually wanted to talk about
This
like
is
how
very
TERFs are
strange.
being made, how transphobic.
These topics are very strange.
Women are being made, how misogynistic women are being made and like boosted and platformed. Obviously, I've talked a lot about TERFs, the trans exclusionary radical feminists who are not actually feminists.
Yeah. And also, you have to talk about the problem of certain trans people becoming TERFs in their own right when they will exclude non-binary people, for example, and use the exact same arguments as TERFs used to exclude trans women.
Foot soldiers of the patriarchy, and they want to essentially like enforce the worldview that like the patriarchy is pushing as well, that like if you're born male, you are stronger, you're superior, and you're going to be like the one in charge.
Yeah.
And if you're born female, then you have to be subservient to men. You're going to be a victim of men. That's essentially what TERFs are pushing, right? With like the UK ruling reducing.
And there's also the idea that all men are predators inherently, no matter what. And also that since trans women are men, they're also inherently predators. And since all women are just victims and inherently not able to do anything bad, trans men are just inherently not worthy of even discussing. That's basically the, like, trans men are just poor, confused women, and all trans women are predatory men. That's the logic of TERFs. Isn't that right, Dr. Jones?
Yeah.
Women to reproductive organs, their biological purpose, their biological role. I've talked a lot about this, but I haven't actually told why they hate trans women so much. And I think that I have accumulated enough, examples. And let's just start with the fact that trans women actually want to be women. And by want to be, it's, breaking free and living as their authentic self as women. We obviously have the quote-unquote male privilege, even though it's not entirely male privilege, because like we have been ostracized, right? We have been seen as lesser if we don't conform to like the toxic masculinity, if we don't live like that. For me, for instance, I've never really belonged with a lot of guys. I had people degrade me by calling me a girl, invalidate me by calling me a girl, right? Getting shamed for being, quote unquote feminine, because in this society, in this patriarchal society, femininity, anything that is like female, that is perceived to be for women, is inherently lesser, and you're losing your social status if you conform to that, right? Masculinity in that sense, like this toxic masculinity, is essentially you performing masculinity for other men. There is this mob mentality when it comes to guys and toxic masculinity, and the world is becoming more and more misogynistic, so this makes it harder for men to do things that are needlessly gendered to be feminine or something, because then they're going to experience a lot of abuse as well. So growing up, for me, I never really had like this privilege of just being a guy and just fitting in, just doing what's right for me, because like I struggled with that and I was constantly invalidated. Even if I overperformed masculinity for them, I forced my voice deeper in order to experience less abuse, because actually when I was 16, 17, a lot of people just thought when they heard my voice I was a girl. Little did they know.
When I was 14, 15, People thought I was a girl by my looks because certain facial features of mine are like my mom's.
But obviously, right, I thought that I need to be a man. I have to do this. And that obviously made it incredibly difficult for me to grow
Sorry?
up.
I don't think it counts, but when I was like that age, everybody thought I was Hispanic because I had a tan.
I see.
I don't think that counts. But
Thank you. Thank you for your input, Dr. Johns. As always, I appreciate it.
You're the one who wanted me on for this.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for this.
You should.
This is going to be the cold intro for the segment.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
You should have got me violently, like, blackout drunk so I could have gone on a 45-minute trans rights rant.
Yeah, about you being Hispanic. Thank you, Dr. John.
Last time I got blackout drunk, I spent like 45 minutes just like on a Discord call with my other trans person I know. I'm just like, I fucking support your rights. You'll always be a woman to me. You're my friend.
Jesus Christ. Save that energy for when we do the video thing, the movie thing for Patreon.
Don't worry. No, don't worry. I'll fucking glaze the hell out of you, blackout drunk, tell how much I support you as a trans woman.
Very nice. So, okay, what movie do we want to watch? Well, we might as well do an announcement. What movie do we want to watch? And our ramblings to Patreon viewers.
I thought you said you wanted to do the nuclear option. I told you about how I think it was Batman and Robin that had.
Yeah. Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, this one. Okay,
that's the one where you had like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, we're gonna.
He's so happy to be there.
All right.
He's just so violently.
So when do you want to watch Batman and Robin?
I gotta go back and check all the dates again that I gave you. But
all right, listen, continue. Yeah.
Probably be sometime next month.
All right, let's continue then.
Yep. We're already off topic.
When I started coming out, like the first thing I did was paint my nails, shaving my legs and painting my nails. Those were like the first things I did, and it's like, oh yeah, this is like so like these are gender stereotypes, and oh my god.
I don't think painting my nails will help me.
You're reinforcing gender stereotypes. It is something.
Maybe I could paint my nails.
That I wanted to do.
That attitude will.
I wonder what color would fit me. I have to think what color I'd like.
Because I think that is what I have to do in order to be a woman. But it's
Polish,
just what
Lithuanian Commonwealth flag colors.
I don't think that would look good on nails.
Or just do Poland. Just red
that
and
would
white.
Also it's white and red.
Wanted to do, and society wouldn't have allowed me to do this without consequences because of my, phenotype, because me going through like male puberty, right? It's not the same. Transphobes constantly use this as like a gotcha. You're actually the ones who are reinforcing gender stereotypes, which is like, no, it's just something that I wanted to do. Like, I don't know, me wearing leggings for the first time. I remember sitting in 5th grade and being like, I just want to wear this. They look comfy and they are pretty comfy. And I just want to be myself, not because that is expected of a woman, but because these are things that I actually wanted to do. And they happen to align with my gender identity. These stereotypes happen to align with my gender identity. It was the first time you had gender euphoria. It was more of
I remember when I was very small, I saw a big allure to lipstick.
A sense of like, I'm free, I'm liberated. I do not have to adhere to like the toxic masculinity anymore. I can just, if I like something, it doesn't matter if that's like in the men's section, if it's in the women's section, I can just get like a shampoo that I think smells nice. And that gave me a lot of joy. And TERFs are like, you haven't suffered in the right way. So what you're doing is actually making a mockery of women because their concept of womanhood.
TERFs are such miserable people.
I have been abused by the system, by my environment for being born female. When it comes to reproductive health, right? These are like the main things that TERFs throw at me. When it comes
more
to
like the true scum.
Like TERFs are really fixated on biology, really fixated on the reproductive system. I've noticed, like that is a thing that TERFs really just. You're fixated on this.
Like, oh, you're not a woman because
mean,
I know
it's-
this and you'll never experience
Sorry?
it.
They're advocating. The thing about TERFs is basically it's like what was it? I think it's like I remember someone like talking about like once upon a time about how like the Handmaid's Tale, how there was an example like there's an author or something, a lady that was making up all of, like the propaganda books and shit, and it was like at the end of the day she's advocating for a world that's going to tear the pen from her hand.
Yeah.
And that's basically what TERFs are advocating for. And in the end of the day, they're basically just trying to reinvent like the patriarchy or whatever.
Yeah.
That you will never understand what it's like to have like period cramps. There's also like this invalidation of like you're not a woman because you don't meet beauty expectations of women. And it's not even just like TERFs, it's like cis women in general. A lot of cis white straight women do this form of othering to trans women, even if they are not down in this pipeline, but they're kind of like falling into it, or they're using a lot of rhetoric that is like going into it of like, we don't want to include you in this conversation when it comes to like women's rights and so on, because you don't know what it's like to have struggles with your reproductive health, to have to go through like a hysterectomy and get like invalidated by your doctors and so on, right? Like, trans women experience misogyny. We experience transphobia, which is rooted in misogyny. And a lot of cis women also experience transphobia if they do not meet societal expectations.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
To their voice, for instance, and they're being transvestigated, and
I see that Nyara is doing saying what I said in that collaboration video.
hands are too big. A lot of things are happening.
Yeah. I said that was part of my response in the collaboration video, that women that don't meet societal expectations get transvestigated. That was a big thing. There was this big news about the woman boxer that was accused of being trans and hiding it, and it turned out to be nonsense. But that's exactly how that goes, right? If a woman is doing too good in boxing or has features that are perceived as masculine, then suddenly, this person is probably trans, right?
Yeah, you know how it goes. All the TERFs and transvestigators. I'm right 40% of the time.
Yeah, there was in some other sport, there was this woman that just had high testosterone or something, performed well, and everybody, even though she got, I think, pregnant and has a child, everybody said, no, that's a man.
Or you can make your entire identity around that you came in 7th place next to a trans girl too in a swimming competition.
Yeah, exactly. Or I think the Williams sisters in tennis, people often mock them as men.
In this sense. But they kind of use the fact that we do not have, a female reproductive system in order to other us. And that is going into the mindset of like TERF rhetoric. And then there's also like this aspect of like, I just don't want you in our space. And if you want to be a woman, you should listen to women like me and not be like a man and talking over me, because like, how dare you think that your feelings are more important than mine? You're so male brained. When it comes to how transphobic women talk about trans
male brain.
men, I hate that I was born female.
Sorry?
Because you're male coded. You gotta be careful. You might yeet your cat across the room because you're so male coded.
Yeah, the hell.
Female. You apparently hate that you were born female, and you hate being born female because of the society. So actually, you're a victim. You're a confused little girl, and you just need to embrace your femininity and womanhood. It's like, I hate.
Yeah, that's what trans men hear all the time.
Going through society as a woman. It would be so easy if I was a man. You must be doing that for the same reason as I do. You reject your femininity. You just gotta embrace your femininity. So a lot of, TERF rhetoric is essentially just, I am a victim of abuse, and these trans women, they are, part of the abusers, and they're taking away the suffering that allows for me to claim the word woman. I have earned the label woman by going through all of the suffrage as a girl. And trans men are trying to escape this suffering by transitioning. It's in the sense of like, you know how men, how young boys are being taught that in order to be a man, they have to man up. They like emotions, they are gay, they are feminine, like don't cry. Men don't, like boys don't cry, men don't cry. Stop being such a little girl and like complaining all the time, right? You essentially have to numb yourself and then you can earn the label man. It is not something that is given to you because of your phenotype. It is something that you have to earn. And if you don't meet societal expectations of, you know, a man or woman, then you will face consequences for that. The transphobia of J.K. Rowling will make a lot of sense if you understand this concept. J.K. Rowling doesn't go under Joanne Rowling. Even added the K, had to do like the J.K. in order to be perceived as a man, because female authors would never be successful. She needs that alias, she needs to pretend to be a man in order to be taken seriously, right? But these are like the things.
Didn't J.K. Rowling write some weird transphobic book under an alias? Under
yeah, she has like a crime series or something. And like the last one,
wasn't there a book with some person that was wearing skins of women or something?
No, it was like half the book was basically just she copy pastes like all the mean tweets about her and places it in the book as like evidence for the murder.
But there was one book that she wrote where the murderer was just some guy that wore women's skin.
And then she's just ripping off Silence of the Lambs. Then
I hate that I have to face the patriarchal shit that is happening. You know, I have to suffer, I have to endure all of these things. And now these men come along with their male privilege and they think that they are as much of a victim as I am. If you remember the girl guiding situation, anti-trans groups wanted trans girls to be banned from the Girl Scouts. I'm being named in this article, by the way, because she responded to me. I made a video about this. I talked about this, right? I was like, serious question. Who does this help? Literally excluding young girls from activities just because they are trans. This is only contributing to the mental health issues that trans people face. It is just viewing trans girls as predatory boys, as evil men. They are trying to invade these spaces and make all the girls uncomfortable because all of these girls, all of these young girls have been just as, you know, abused and are thus just as scared of anything male as them.
Polyphonicus is under her Galbraith pseudonym. Casual vacancy.
So they have to protect them, right? And J.K. Rowling quote tweeted this with, answer, it helps girls. It tells girls they have the right to things of their own. It tells girls they have the right to say no. It reminds girls that the desires of boys do not supersede their feelings, their rights, the discomfort for their safety. You see how terms talk about not just, you know, trans girls.
Sorry, you were talking over the video, yeah?
I was saying, can you imagine being J.K. Rowling, having like all like infinite money, an infinite money printer, and just spending all your fucking time just on Twitter scrolling, replying to like everybody?
Well, it's worse than that. Using your immense wealth to fund anti-trans initiatives and making that the legacy of your life. Like the legacy of her life is no longer her writing. The legacy of her life is just being a horrible bigot now.
She's basically just British Elon Musk without the suit, without science.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like literally, she just could have just had to. She could have just shut the fuck up and just gone.
Yeah, she had like a reputation of this wholesome writer or whatever. Her books were pretty popular, and then she just pissed it all down the drain.
And then she pissed it all, and then everybody went back and realized just how
even Vladimir Putin mentioned J.K. Rowling in his rants about Ukraine.
Oh yeah, because you imagine you being excited by fucking Vladimir Putin, isn't why like, you know, the West is falling.
Yeah, it's just wild. And she, of course, invited Epstein to some event.
And she's also been palling around with like actual fucking Nazis too now.
Yeah.
Young boys. I saw this tweet on March 10th. It will forever be amazing to me that people with medical degrees got in front of a camera and said that the effects of puberty blockers on children and adolescents are fully reversible. The horror. Puberty blockers are just pausing the process of a child going through puberty. You will resume puberty once you stop taking them. Obviously, you shouldn't take them forever, but it's crazy to me how they still push this. That puberty blockers are like this harmful thing. Anyways, J.K. Rowling was like, and it will forever be appalling to me that a bunch of celebrities with influence over young people use their platform to amplify unevidenced claims for the benefit of transitioning minors while smearing those urging caution as bigots. It's
this is just projection.
crazy how the irony is lost on these people, on these ghouls. But yeah, obviously no offense to like the good ghouls. So I was like, you are a miserable, misogynistic woman who is envious because trans women actually want to live as women and are joyful in their womanhood. So you attack not just trans women, but all women with your patriarchal nonsense.
True. I agree.
Right? Remember the boxer. Rosie Duff.
Why? What happened?
Nothing.
Why?
No, I didn't listen to her reply.
Who is a sitting member of parliament in the UK, replied with, joyful in their womanhood is something no biological woman has ever said and meant ever.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a biological woman, by the way.
I mean, well, I can't have that. We had a sitting congressperson go in front of all of Congress and show some, like, the president's son's dick pics. So I can't really talk.
This is what I mean. They are miserable and they are proving my point. We
Yeah.
actually break free from the system. We don't want to be numb and like disassociate. We are struggling with depression because we are forced to hide behind a mask and have to perform. And then we start transitioning. We break free from that and things are getting better. We break free from the shackles, from the prison.
Yeah.
And like society is so offended by this fact. But we still do it. No matter the roadblocks, we still push through because we actually know what is best for us and that this is a life that is actually worth living. And these...
It's ridiculous, this whole no woman ever said joyful in their womanhood.
women just hate being women. Obviously, please do not say that any misogynistic woman, any like turf or so on, is like an egg, because a lot of them are just victims of abuse and they listen to their abusers because it's easier. They listen to the oppressors and they just want another group to punch down on and let their anger on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that makes someone an egg. That is kind of like the turf rhetoric of like, oh, I hate being...
Yeah, you hate being a girl, so you just escape from the pain by becoming a trans man.
born female, so like
Yeah.
trans men actually don't exist because they are just being bullied out of their womanhood.
Or they're just
I-
confused. That's also a thing. Yeah?
No, you just become non-binary instead.
endure their suffering for society. Why do trans men try to like break free from that? Same thing, chain of abuse. Exactly. So please don't use like egg culture for this. Anyways, that is crazy to me. Rosie Duffield actually used to be a member of the Labour Party, left the Labour Party because they were like so evil or something, and now her entire identity, her entire personality revolves around making trans lives more miserable.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real, I did not expect
Basically.
to have
All J.K. Rowling does is she just hangs out on Twitter like name searching herself.
a government account in my replies, but hey, turfs do be like that, right? You remember like Nancy Mace going after Saber because Saber was like, oh, this is like my transitioning timeline, and Nancy Mace went out of her way with the government account and the
Oh, God.
private account to harass her. Politicians on Twitter going after trans women. It's crazy to me. Yeah, this is something that I wanted to talk about for a really long time. You know, a lot of the transphobia that they are pushing is also forcing a lot of cis women to adhere to gender expectations and have to perform for strangers because otherwise they might get transvestigated. I saw this video from Abigail, Virginia.
So I have a really deep voice as a female, and it's so funny because I get so many comments. Obviously, if you've read any of my comments, there's like, this girl is trans, you can see it in the hands, like she's a liar, like all these things. And I literally don't care. I don't know what it is, but it just feels fake to me. Like, if you're trying to hurt my feelings, you're not gonna do it by commenting mean things. But in person, for some reason, I'm like, wait, what? It feels more real. But it's so funny. One of my coworkers yesterday, we were out, and she was like, dude, one of my friends, one of the guys were like, yeah, like, she's so hot, but is she really like a girl? Like, I'm like,
Of course.
there's no way people really think that in real life, but maybe they do. Like, it literally doesn't register until someone in real life questions it. Y'all, come on. Really? Like, it actually shocks me, seriously. I have a deep voice, but so do other girls.
You know, when I talk about like voice dysphoria and so on, when I
Yeah.
get like comments, when I get asked like, yo, boy or girl on Valorant, and I post this and I talk about this, I have so many transphobes be like, no real biological woman has ever been questioned if they are real women.
Yeah,
Because
I actually watched a video where that conversation happened in the game between her and a transphobe. Yeah.
Yeah. The real issue is that she's playing Valorant.
Listen, you just don't like multiplayer games, I noticed. You also
No,
like
there's-
DBD.
So I don't hate myself enough to play Dead by Daylight.
Wait, Resident Evil Requiem has been released on PC? Has it?
Yeah, it came out I think last week.
Wait, yeah, Requiem. But Outbreak never came out on PC, right?
Which one was Outbreak? Was that the multi-story one?
Maybe.
Fuck, I can't remember that. That's
I'm gonna play
So I
Resident
know-
Evil 5 because I'm gonna play all of them in order, but someone has to play 5 with me. I finished it with a friend from Saudi Arabia, Resident Evil 5.
I played it a long time ago on my Xbox One with a friend.
Yeah.
Like split screen, it was kind of so bad because how
I
they
never
handled the
liked
split screen.
I never liked split screen, to be fair, as a concept. Alright, let's continue.
Yep.
I get asked like, yo, boy or girl on Valorant, and I post this and I talk about this. I have so many transphobes be like, no real biological woman has ever been questioned if they are real women, because everybody knows who a real woman. And then I have a lot of my cis friends actually be like, hey, you know, I struggle with that too. I have like the same issues. It's so fascinating because a lot of transphobia is literally just regurgitating things and repurposing things that society already throws at cis women and also cis men. It is so fascinating when you like look at the things that they throw at you and then they deny that it's happening, right? Then they gaslight you to make you believe that this isn't happening. I actually have to check if this
Yeah, I remember when I was super depressed and I called the suicide death line, you know? Very depressing start, but I remember like I was crying and I had a very meek voice, and every time I called that line, the lady that was on the line would gender me correctly by my voice.
is on my
Yeah.
my other account, or my suspended account.
I
As you
got
might
a
have
bad joke about that.
What? Oh, God.
You know, yeah, I worked for the suicide hotline a while back before they had to fire me. I asked them like, why was it? What did I get like too many complaints or something? And they told me, oh, not exactly.
Oh boy.
You had
Notice,
me on for this.
I was tweeting on my main account. I was tweeting on my nyaraVT account. On March 11th, I actually have been set free on my main account.
Yeah.
I no longer have a label on my account, so I'm no longer shadow banned. Things are no longer, you know, when I post graphics and so on, they are no longer being age restricted. This was like during time of me being like shadow banned. I was set free. First thing I got was a tweet with like 50,000 likes. So yeah, I'm able to tweet on my main account again, and I'm relieved because a lot of people ask me why am I still on Twitter. It just gives me the sense of like I'm doing something, because these things would have never happened on Blue Sky. You can be on Blue Sky, be in your small little bubble, and things you're a little bit separated from everything
That's true.
Nothing fucking happens on Blue
that's
Sky.
going on, which is useful. You're not enduring like all of the abuse, but this would have never happened.
Although I post on X and nobody sees it, okay? I post on X, nobody reacts or sees it,
I see it sometimes.
That's the only person that reacts to my tweets.
On Blue Sky, it would have never been like quote tweeted by J.K. Rowling and so on, and it kind of gives me the impression that like, hey, I'm able to get my voice out there and actually reach more people, especially people in positions of power. So a while ago in March 5th, this bigger turf account who has also interacted with me before was like, Elon Musk's daughter could have had most anything she wanted in life. Instead, she chose to want the one thing she could never have, to become a woman. With the video attached of Vivian absolutely slaying. And it's crazy to me that
whole
TERFs do
thing
not
you probably get
understand
into.
this. We are
Yeah, the Elon Musk daughter thing.
Yeah,
is...
Elon. That's like her sole identity is just being Elon Musk's trans daughter, and like
giving
nothing
up
else.
a lot of things just to live as our authentic selves. Like I tweeted, yes, exactly, trans people sacrifice everything to
Sorry, can you repeat?
I said it's like the whole thing where anytime anybody brings it up, she's just Elon Musk's trans daughter. It's like, like at the very least, she has a fucking name.
Yeah.
live as their authentic selves. No amount of money, fame, admiration, power is worth hiding who you truly are. If you can't see how inspirational she is, then you're just a miserable, jealous, misogynistic freak, right? This would be a point of like, these women, these trans women give up their male privilege, their position as like a man, they even give up like their family.
I only go on X to follow Japanese bands. You should go on X to follow me. Lucy Haze is on X. On
You mean
Twitter.
Twitter?
Yeah.
It's X, formerly Twitter at best.
True.
Wealth, careers, and
I
so
just
on.
go onto Twitter just to follow artists. And
I'm an artist.
Just to live as women, because this internal conflict is so difficult to ignore that even if they are like successful, they give this up because this internal conflict.
After this, we're going to go on the network channel and stream the news.
Wonderful. After this, I'm probably going to bed.
Wow, you're weak.
is not
It's already
worth
past my
having to
bedtime, Lucy.
It's 4:31 a.m.
live hiding behind a mask
It's
all of
10:30
your
here.
life. And cis people should look at this and be like, that is inspirational. Especially a lot of women who feel like they are lesser, they are worth nothing in this society, should look at trans women and be like, they give up everything just to be a woman and to have joy in living life as a woman. I don't know why they don't understand this. I don't know why it's so difficult for them to understand this. But I think it's jealousy. Maybe sunk cost fallacy. Maybe it's the fact that it's so much easier to abuse trans people than to push back against the patriarchy. That is what I wanted to talk about. This is why women are misogynistic. This is why women are transphobic. And this is why TERFs rather sacrifice their own bodily autonomy, their own rights, legislating their own rights away, funding all of like these insane laws, these insane like Supreme Court rulings and so on, just because they rather stay in like this victim mentality and punch down on other groups than to go against their oppressors, right? It's on the same level as like Olympian Kaylee Humphreys gives Trump an award for his impact on women's sports and standing up to keep biological women in women's sports. And then it's like, okay, now you have like sex testing. You gotta prove that you're a real woman. You have like genital inspections and so on. They rather suck up to their abusers than to go against them.
Genital inspections. I cannot wait. Whoa.
And trans people are such a fundamental
Yeah.
I would love for somebody trying to defend the sanctity of women's sports to name at least one woman athlete that's not the tennis lady.
Serena Williams.
Yeah. Yeah, name me one woman athlete that's not Serena Williams. If you wanted to,
Opponent
defend the sanctity of women's sports.
in this fight, which
There's
is
also Venus Williams, her sister.
why all of these capitalists, all of these people in positions of power, all of these fascists go against us. This is why they do all this. Because we are not only teaching women that, you know, men and women are equal and women are just as capable as men, that like the patriarchy is not a natural thing. It is something that is socially constructed. But we also tell that to cis men. And if you no longer can harm cis men,
like this. So the rat's like this.
the rat goes like this. Thank you. Thank you so much. If cis men no longer fall for like the patriarchal nonsense of like you have to perform masculinity for other men, you have to reject anything that society genders as feminine, even if it's something natural as you having emotions, you having feelings, you asking for help. If that is no longer a thing,
Yeah.
then
How
society
you have a filius. Your filius are good.
can no longer gaslight you that women have it so much easier and you're so neglected by society and, you know, you're actually like worthless. Women need to be protected, but you can just be tossed aside. If they can no longer do this, then it makes it harder to turn young boys into misogynistic men, which is making everything fall apart for capitalists, for men in positions of power who profit from all of this culture war, from the gender
Yeah.
wars. All of these things of like, oh, we need to push trans women out of sports because they are born male and they're inherently better at everything. Even in chess, they have such a huge advantage. If they play a video game, they have such a huge advantage. They
True.
shouldn't play. They shouldn't compete with women because that is unfair because it's a man doing it. It's a male going up against the weak female. All of this is patriarchal nonsense.
Female.
Obviously, you know, transitioning changes a lot of things when it comes to like muscle atrophy and so on, right? Like there are
I love when they
prerequisites
try to
that
defend the sanctity of women's sports and then right afterwards just make fun of it.
Yeah. That's yeah.
you need to fulfill in
As
order
being not a
to
valid sport.
Yeah.
compete. But all of it rests on the idea that if you're female, you're weak and you need a man to take care of you and submit so he can protect you. And things need to change. That's what I wanted to talk about. I think it's an incredibly important thing. It's helpful to know all of these things in order to understand where the transphobia is coming from, where a lot of the violence, a lot of the abuse that trans people need to endure, where this comes from, and why women are foot soldiers of the patriarchy. Anyways, I never expected a government official to respond to me, but actually, I kind of did. I just didn't know about this one.
All right.